Here at a 3-family home for sale in Fall River, Massachusetts. The first thing I'm going to do, as you can see right now, is I'm walking along the exterior of the property, doing a complete 360 of the house, and I'm looking for several things while I do this. Number one, I'm going to get a little bit of distance and try to get my eyes on the roof so I could see the condition of the roof, see if there's any wear and tear, damage, anything like that. And then I'm looking at exterior components such as the foundation. I'm making sure there's no cracks or obvious damage to that foundation of the house. I'm also making sure that there's gutters all around the house so that water is draining away. And I'm making sure that I have my utility connections as well. Gas, electric, that kind of stuff. Sometimes you could see it from the outside of the house, but not always. In this particular case, I don't see them on this side, so we're gonna go ahead and head inside. Now that we're in the house, the first thing I'm going to do is go down into the basement. You'll find a lot of the major components of the house in this area. So the first thing I'm looking at as we get down here is the foundation. And this is pretty typical where I'm at in New England because homes are a lot older. So you see this fieldstone foundation, which is basically just a bunch of rocks stacked on top of each other and mortared together. And they do last this way a very long time. There's nothing wrong with this. But now that I'm down here, I'm once again looking for my utility connections. I'm looking to see that I have a furnace for each unit. Like I said, this is a 3-family, so I want to make sure I have 3 gas meters, 3 water heaters over here. I'm going to look a little more closely, check the date, see that there's no obvious damage to them, and I'm going to go and see that I have 3 electric panels, sometimes even 4 in this case, because you'll have one for unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, and your common area. So I actually have 4 right here, which is perfect. And then while I'm down here in the basement, I'm looking for any obvious water leaks, any signs of water intrusion, any signs of knob and tube wiring, which is really just old, outdated wiring that cause electrical fires sometimes. And just any obvious red flags, things that don't look right, things that look out of place. So far, so good. Let's head upstairs. So now I'm entering one of my units, and I'm going to start looking for different things to make sure the unit is in good shape. So I'm looking for smoke detectors, making sure they're all there, they're all functioning. I'm looking at these windows, making sure that they are the double pane, strong windows that we don't have to change out down the road. I'm looking at the ceiling, making sure there's no signs of water intrusion, any stains on the ceiling, anything weird like that. I'm using all my senses. I'm smelling for any strange odors, anything like that. And I'm also, once again, looking at my utility connections. Sometimes, once in a while, you'll have an electrical panel in the unit, which is really awesome because that means that if there's an issue, if breaker trips or anything like that, tenant doesn't have to go down in the basement and look for the panel. It's right in their unit. They can even fix it themselves sometimes. So once again, just walking through this unit, making sure I don't see any obvious damage, any obvious issue, any obvious signs of water intrusion, any signs of rodents, anything like that. And so far it looks good. So the next step to do now is to run our numbers and do our analysis, see if this deal makes sense financially. Let's do it. So remember, I said this is quick and dirty napkin math. Not going to be the most accurate thing, but good enough for use and purposes right now. Just trying to do this quickly. So the first thing I'm going to pull up is my listing sheet on this property. I'm going to look through that, look to see if there's any firm remarks, any red flags we got to watch out for. And then I'm going to pull up the rents on these units. And this is very important because it'll tell us what the property can produce in terms of cash flow. And before we even look at that, we want to make sure there's no existing leases in place. And if there are, you want to consider those, figure out what you have to do with those leases. This particular property is being delivered vacant, so you can just take these numbers, crunch them up. We have about $1,500 per unit, 3 units, so that's about $4,500 a month that this property could generate. So that particular house was listed for $560,000. So assuming we're doing a regular conventional 20% loan at $560,000, that would leave us at a down payment of about $112,000. Plus you got to factor in closing costs, so we'll just call it $120,000 even. So you'll have a loan on $560,000 minus $120,000, $560,000 minus $112,000. You factor in that mortgage through a mortgage calculator, it gets you to about $3,000. To add in insurance and you add in taxes, for me on my math, it gets me to about $3,600, right around there. So again, that's just napkin math real quick, not the most accurate, but close enough. So you got to factor in that you're getting $4,500 of rent from that building, and you have about $3,600 of expenses. So that puts you at a $900 cash flow positive every month. Of course, there's other things that you have to account for, such as if you hire property management, such as capital expenditures when things break, things like that. So you definitely want to factor in for those things. And you also want to factor in that cash flow is not the only way you make money on these deals. You also make money because they appreciate over time. In particular market, houses appreciate about 6 to 8% a year. So that $560,000 house might cost and be worth substantially more in a few years than it is now. And that's another way that you're making money. So you want to factor all that in when you're doing your analysis on a deal, and use that to make a full scope of how you feel about the property, and then use that to make a decision. Either you want to make an offer on it, or either you want to back out or walk away and move on to the next. I hope that was helpful. If you guys have questions, if you guys have a different way of doing it, definitely let me know. Thank you for watching.